Welcome everybody to Bobby Talks, ... Those dots are there to tell you that there's more to the story, always more to the story. I'm Robert Gifford, as always. I'm sitting here today with a very special guest of mine. I'm very pleased to have him here. I don't know what your title would be in the show world, what your, if you would have a certain title to you, or I just call you the greatest showman. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sitting here with Scott Van Sice out of Sand Creek,
yes,
Adrian area.
And well, I was here for a while, and I'm based in Ann Arbor right now.
Okay, he's hailing from Ann Arbor right now. He made the journey to be on our show today. Very glad that you're here with me, man. I gotta say, let me just start with the ass kissings if I can. Very pleased that you made this trip. You're somebody that I have. We didn't walk in the same circles growing up. How old are you right now?
I'm 31.
31. So we're only a couple years behind. I think you graduated in what, 07, 08?
08.
08. So we would have been, so I graduated in 05, so 3 years apart. I just know that when I started hearing your name, seeing some of the things that you would do on Facebook, I was just kind of in awe of you. I'm always in awe of anybody, especially from a small town, that takes a chance on themselves. And in your case, you live such an interesting life. It's such an interesting alternative lifestyle to the conventional way of doing things. That I don't know if that's creepy or not, but I've been watching you from afar for quite some time, and I'm just very pleased that you're here.
Fully received. Yeah, thank you.
So let's talk about, I was asking you about your title. Like, you are a performer.
Yeah, I'm a performer, entertainer, circus performer, visual artist, movement artist.
Do you have a particular skill set that you favor over another? What do you enjoy doing when you're, because you're an acrobatist. I mean, you are a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I've really bounced around a whole lot.
Come further into the mic, sorry.
All right, yeah. Yeah, I've definitely bounced around a fair bit. I guess the first thing that really got me thinking about this stuff and really falling in love with movement in general.
Okay.
Was meeting a friend that was learning how to juggle when I first met him, and I'd go over and hang out with them and just see them juggling, and I'd be just sitting on the couch. Man, that looks like they're having a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I wish I could do that. And it took me a while thinking that. And it's just okay, something eventually clicked, and I'm like, okay, yes, I can do that. I'm gonna do it right now, and made 3 snowballs on. I had gotten the lowdown on the technique and lesson before, but
okay,
just needing that context and really took off with it.
How old would you say you were when that happened? That transformation happened?
That was in 2010.
Okay.
Early 2010, so almost 11 years ago.
Okay, so you would have been after high school.
Yeah.
What were you going to pursue after high school? What was your original plans? Because for those of you that don't know, we went to Sand Creek High School, which is a very country town, very rural America. It's all predominantly one color, not a lot of diversity, and not that plays a lot of part in your journey, but it does in some.
Sure.
What was your original plans?
Well, I was going to be going to culinary arts.
Okay, food.
I had a passion for food, and I was going to WCC for a while, and working in the culinary industry for a while, and then I loved food. I loved cooking and playing in the kitchen, but the industry in general kind of took a toll on me, and I was always working with other people. We were wanting to have fun, and it didn't work out for me.
Yeah, food is very fast-paced, and it's very redundant, very over and over again. It's not unless you wanted to get into your own catering, throwing your own special menus together type thing. It's not a lot of room for creativity.
I think there's definitely the float to it, and there can be certainly a lot of creativity.
Sure.
A lot of what I consider myself, you're talking about titles.
Okay.
And I consider myself a flow artist.
A flow artist.
Yeah. So it's that state of mind, that state of being, where everything is in just continuous flow, it's a dance, that things are moving from one thing to the next. And so I think that term flow artist can be applied to anybody in any field if they are able to really bring that state of passion, enjoyment, and presence of being
So you're saying
what they're doing.
you're saying flow artists in sense of just in term of life.
Yeah.
Just the way, especially this year, the way challenges can be thrown at us and how you have to be kind of light on your feet and kind of roll with the punches type thing. I think that's a very solid message that maybe a lot of people would need to hear because, and it's not something that comes easy, I'm assuming. Did you have to practice this or was it just like, I think this is how I should approach life and you found success doing that? Or is it challenging for you at times to do that?
I think there's, I'm going to speak more of like recent things.
Sure, yeah.
It was kind of easy for me, like during pandemic time, like there's certainly a fair bit of moments this past year that I found myself like disconnecting from my body and the presence. And some of that, I think, I'm sure is attributed to like some like doom scrolling or like social media attention. Sometimes for me, it's an amazing tool too, but like I want to keep it a tool.
Right,
Yeah.
a tool that you're in control of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how much TV you watch or movies or any of that nature, but there's a documentary that was called The Social Dilemma on Netflix that talks about the social media aspect of who we are now and how social media itself it is a tool, but it's a insecure tool. You know, there's a reference that we talked about on one of my shows here about how a shovel is always a shovel until it's not a shovel. You know what I mean?
Sure.
When you want it to be a shovel, then it's a shovel. When you put it away in the shed, it's still a shovel. A phone will probe you. It will tell you it's somebody's birthday. It will tell you they're always trying to get your attention. It's a very insecure piece of technology, and more times than not, we give it our attention. So there does come certain levels of stresses with that. So I was just curious if you've seen that or not.
Yeah, I've certainly felt that within myself, and I think practicing flow and getting into that state of presence is even more important with these types of technologies. If like having some sort of practice, like getting into yoga was also a huge important part of my like shift
Okay.
that came about in my life.
I saw that you used to be a yoga instructor.
Yeah, I'm certified yoga.
Oh, you are certified.
Yeah.
Do you find that yoga is more just about the discipline, the process, or like what do you believe yoga? Like, what is the actual benefits of yoga? Like, explain for those that might be curious about what yoga can do for you health wise.
So a lot of people think of yoga as just the asana
Okay.
portion. It's being like having these movements and poses that people do, but real yoga is union, to yoke,
Okay.
to unite with, and that can be attributed to all aspects of life. It's philosophy, regardless of any particular religion. I think a lot of the saints, and of any different tradition, have been practicing yoga in some form or another, whether they're calling it that or not.
Right. It's some type of meditation, some type of like unity with mind, body, soul.
So there's the yamas and niyamas are like an excellent thing. I encourage people to dive into and check out.
What is it? Yamas?
Yamas and niyamas. It's kind of like the 10 Commandments.
Okay,
of,
okay.
Yoga, the do's and do nots.
Okay.
And I fumble on remembering all of them right now, but the first one that people are often like have heard of is ahimsa.
Okay.
Non-harming, and so that can mean for yourself, for other people around you, for the earth.
Oh.
For like all aspects, non-harming, and
Non-harming. Okay. I remember we dabbled when I was in college. I went to school. I'm a physical education teacher. So we had to do a unit on yoga. First of all, I remember it being very physically taxing. It's very physically taxing.
Yeah, it can be a workout.
Oh, it's absolutely
sure.
the balance portion and just a lot of things that come in. Your muscles are shaking and all of the whatnot. The breathing. There's a lot of studies right now just on breathing and how much breathing really pays tribute to your health. Not just mental health, but your physical health, the respiratory system and whatnot. I think it's Jordan Peterson that's done a big study on breathing. He wrote a book on breathing. Okay. But yeah, there's this idea of would you call it the non-harm?
Ahimsa. Yeah.
Ahimsa. Yeah. It's this idea of I've heard it once and maybe I'm off on it, but it's like it's also like non-threatening.
Yeah, non-violence, non-threatening.
Yeah, it's a disposition almost. Yeah,
and that can be like physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
It's a hard place to constantly be in, though, isn't it? Or am I wrong? Maybe I'm just I've never practiced it as much as you have.
It's certainly a practice, and there's many other aspects of yoga that I encourage people to dive into and just learn about. But there's one thing that's really helped me out a lot, and especially gives me a lot of perspective in this year, and in trying to be compassionate with myself and with others is practice I've been doing a lot is nonviolent communication.
Nonviolent communication.
Yeah. I was started by Marshall Rosenberg, who grew up in Detroit in the 60s, and he ended up becoming a clinical psychologist and was trying to figure out why people would be angry and or why are we violent towards each other, and because he saw he ended up developing this way of communicating that revolves around feelings and needs. It's the language of needs.
Okay. And how to express those needs.
Yeah.
And do it effectively.
Yeah. To be able to relate to ourselves and others in a way that makes compassionate giving more possible.
Empathy. Yeah. Empathy is such a huge thing. I have a leadership class, and I told them that I said empathy. We were talking about intangibles of leaders a couple weeks ago, right before the election. Mm-hmm. And I said, in my top 3, and I don't know particularly the order, but I know empathy is at the top of the list somewhere. Just being able to have compassion for another human being, and before you make a decision on them, being able to kind of put yourself in their shoes, kind of ask yourself, what has their day been like? What has their month been like? What has this year been like for them? I wish we had more of that right now, going back to social media. I wish we had more empathy showcased on that platform for each other, because that sometimes would be a case of violent communication. So I wonder how this was. You said in the 60s this took place.
That's when he grew up, and then
okay.
So
what did he find? What were some of the findings of why people are this way towards each other? Did you get that far into the research, or?
So I highly recommend everybody check out the book,
Okay.
Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. But he, so one way to look at it is anything anybody ever does, anything they ever do, say, or think is it's a means to try to attempt to fulfill one or more needs.
Selfish needs?
No.
Okay.
We all have needs, and that's one of the most crucial learnings. It's we all have needs that are important, and it's universal to every single human being. We all have the same needs.
Okay. So it's that awareness, that consciousness of me knowing that you're attempting to fulfill these needs and I'm doing the same thing, and there's an understanding, and that might play into the communication between each other.
Yeah, being able to relate with each other's needs, and being able to make requests of each other in a way that isn't a command or demand.
Does he talk about specifically techniques on maybe of conflict resolution.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to dive into that for a little bit if we
Sure.
can. I mean, we don't have to go too far
I've
into
done,
it, but
like,
I think this is interesting conversation.
little
So.
intros and it's changed the way that I think
And approach
relate
people
to the world. And so one way to think about it is the acronym OFNER. Observances,
Okay.
feelings, needs, requests. It's kind of like the short
Hierarchy of
like way to to give you a process.
okay.
Being able to state observances without any judgments. So observances are like the exact thing that happens the way a video camera would depict it.
Yes. Yep.
And so without blame, just the observances. And next is feelings. So feelings are all a result of one or more needs being met or not met.
Okay. It's the reaction of that. It's the byproduct of that. Okay.
So our feelings can give us a lot of perspective and point the way towards our met or unmet needs.
Okay.
And maybe in the after the show, we can show there's the Wheel of Universal Human Needs is an excellent diagram to check out. That labels and shows a lot of the needs and can be able to identify those. So it's really helpful to get familiar with what our needs are.
So let me ask you this question. How would you, because I always think about conflict resolution, especially inside a high school, a public school.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. And it's a very interesting ecosystem. I always say this to people. I was like, and you don't realize it when you're a part of it as a kid growing up, but as a teacher on the other side now, I always tell other adults when I'm having conversation about how it is the most fragile ecosystem that can exist. At any moment, somebody could be on the wrong side of those human needs and expressing that in a way that could be detrimental to them, long-term, short-term, to others, trauma that could come from those things. How would someone who is very aware, such as yourself, of this wheel of universal human needs, and you're very aware of, you have empathy for my situation, but let's say we were in a conflict, and I don't have that type of consciousness yet, or I have not conquered
had that practice.
Yes, I don't have that practice or that empathy for you in your needs yet. How would you deal with someone that it might be taking more in that situation than giving?
Sure. Yeah. And
that's the struggle, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a practice.
Yes.
It's been a long journey. I found out about NBC in, I believe, 2012.
Okay.
And or 13.
It sounds like, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It sounds like on the right side of your mic, it comes up a little better than the top of the mic.
So
right there.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Perfect.
And all right, so they talk about nonviolent communication being a 95% inside job.
Okay.
So regardless of other people's experience with it, we can still practice nonviolent communication to be able to practice having empathy for other people as well as having empathy for ourselves.
Okay.
While during any conflict or just communication in general, we want to form better communication and understanding. So, and if I can have that genuine presence and curiosity as to somebody else's experience and being able to just continue to, without making judgments, making guesses as to other people's experience.
And also without making concessions to your own needs.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes I think those with empathy almost go too far to forget about their own needs in a situation as well.
Yeah, that goes back to wanting to serve life.
Okay.
And that practice of ahimsa.
Yeah. Okay.
And
full circle here now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so we want to be practice non-harming for ourselves and the other people around you. And so when having a dialogue, being able to empathize with other people and also relay our own observances, our own feelings around that observance, and relating our needs and being able to make effective requests.
Effective requests. That's a fair statement. Okay.
So like things like and being like really specific with like whether it be time, a like specific strategy or action that would help us to meet that need. If
I need 15 minutes right now, just to decompress, to kind of reflect on what I need to do or be better in this situation. Can we come back and would that be an example?
Absolutely. Like,
okay.
All right, we're having a heated debate right now, and I'm feeling a lot of agitation and emotion right now, and it's really important to me that we have a really clear, like compassionate connection, and I don't want to say something that I don't mean.
Sure.
And that I might
as we're in the moment
later. Would you be willing to take a break from this conversation for 15 minutes, and then we can come back then to continue this dialogue?
Yeah, no, I would think that more people more times than not might, even if I'm thrown off by that, be like, yeah, sure, okay. Yeah, because you're right. And it might be best for both parties, because then when 15 minutes goes by, it doesn't sound like a lot of time, but when you start to kind of come down from that passionate, that first, initial surge, you kind of like, you get a chance to kind of reflect and be like, okay, I listened to what you were saying. And it's very hard to kind of come back to that same level of passion 15 minutes later. So I like this. This is would you call it, what was the term that you used? You just did it 2 minutes ago. I'll have to watch it back. All right. It was like effective.
Making effective requests. So
effective
with that,
requests of each other.
So that oftener, the observances, feelings, needs, requests.
I'm going to use this in my next class on Monday.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I will show this video.
I like, we're taught so much in school.
Yeah.
But we're not often taught that we have needs or that we even have feelings.
Yeah.
And
it's a big one.
All right. Like, can't be sad. Don't be sad. Don't feel these things or whatever. And it's like just learning these tools. I think would be just so nurturing. And
the public school is very afraid of those things, and only for the fact of, not that I'm saying, I'm just saying they're afraid of them because a traditional teacher will, and don't get me wrong, I see it every day where teachers, they're not necessarily afraid of those things. Maybe I'm saying this poorly. Maybe I need 15 minutes. But what I'm saying is that traditional teachers want to stick to the subject matter. They go to school for it. They want to impart knowledge onto others and pass that to others. And they want to see that growth specifically within their subject matter. Now, a good teacher or a great teacher does find ways to invoke those feelings and ask about those feelings and tell kids to explore those feelings. And a great teacher would even go as far as to inspire those to explore those feelings. But I think more times than not, a public school is afraid of asking those kids to do that. And maybe I'm wrong on this, and maybe I haven't had enough time to actually put together my own conscientious thought on it. I just know my initial reaction to it is like, in my leadership class, I do that, but I know in some of our math classes and our science classes, it's like, we need to find a way to merge all of those at the same time. So, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that like communication in general, and especially in these times, like, I think that should be its own course in general, its own subject matter that like we can implement. I think would be worthwhile and just amazing.
I I don't disagree with you. My principal and I had these conversations multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, we've got 5 minutes left in this first segment. I want to kind of dive in. We'll start telling the origin story of who you are. So you graduated in 2008, you said, right?
2008.
3 years behind me. And then you were chasing the dream of the culinary arts.
Moved to Ann Arbor, and
then at what point do you... So you met this friend who's a juggler, and this kind of sparks this creative, this interest that says, I can do this.
Yeah.
Let's go from there. What happens? What's the first big, you stop being a culinary artist and start pursuing this? Even though you might have been doing it as a job, when did you make that transformation in your mind? What's the next thing? Where do we go?
So yeah, met the friend in a communications class in college.
Okay. Where'd you go to college?
WCC.
Okay.
I didn't complete the culinary arts program. Ended up shifting, and so I met the friend there. Went to a Michigan Institute of Aviation and Technology to learn how to work up on the electric wind turbines.
Okay.
That seemed like a decent shift.
At this time, you're still focusing on maybe money? Like how to...
Yeah. What's the next step for me?
Yeah.
And still like really discovering myself. What's going to be my job?
Sure. Yep.
And so I ended up pursuing that. Did really well in the school program. But like during that moment in February of 2010, walking outside and just realized that, holy crap, I can juggle.
Yeah.
Make snowballs. And then every day for... like a year, just like it was every single day, just juggling and
showing everybody and anybody, hey, I can do this. And,
I'm sure like it might have been like might have been pushy about something that I was really excited about, and maybe a little bit.
It lit something in you that you've probably been waiting to touch into.
Yeah, absolutely. I found a passion.
Yeah,
and I was also like started like. I had been practicing yoga just a little bit before then, and falling in love with running and just getting outside and spending time in nature. And then that really shifted me. And I found a community that would get together and practice these things. It was called the Flojo.
The Flojo.
Flojo, yeah. It was a Tuesday night flow arts meetup where people practice juggling or movement, martial arts, acrobatics. Happened in a martial arts dojo.
Okay.
And I fell in love with the community, and I'm like, yes, this is what I want to do.
Yes,
and learned a bunch of different skills. And
that support system of friends that you found is where I'm at in my life, completely seeking. And the problem is that I don't know if the Flojo is the best thing for me.
Sure. Yeah.
But I have my own creative. I'd love to dive into more people that are doing this, and I don't know where to find that. And it's a real struggle, and it's something that I'm desperately seeking. And I know that it's the difference between very different mindsets that I struggle with at times. So I'm looking for my Flojo. But I'm glad that you found it. Yeah,
community and connection is a very important need.
It's everything. It's everything. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Yes. Scott, I appreciate you being here. Segment 1, we went on something I didn't know we would talk about as long as we did. We'll dive into more specifics as we can and specifically talk about the other everything, and that is your life partner. And Carla, I believe is her name, right? And how incredibly lucky you were to find someone who shares these things with you. So we'll talk to Scott on the other side. Thanks. Cool. Great first start. Welcome back, everybody, to Bobby Talks. ... You know why those dots are there. I'm sitting with Scott Van Sice, a.k.a. the Flow Artist. We've been talking a lot about communication strategies, yoga. We did a little bit on that. I want to talk to you about, we were talking before we got off the air about, your origin story. But I want to get specifically to the point when you met your now wife. And what is her name?
Carla Sampson.
And how long have you guys been together?
Since 2012.
So was she a part of that community that you met and it was like love at first sight, or it was something that you had to work for, or
this was like kind of the height prime time of the era of Flojo.
Okay.
And so I was going every single time and was just really made a point of like building community, because this is something I was so passionate about.
Yeah.
And every single new person that walked through that door, I would say hello to or introduce myself.
Make them feel
welcome.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just really, really fell in love with that community. And so I remember one day seeing this beautiful woman and her beautiful friend walk in. They've got some hula hoops on their arm and looking around wide-eyed, like, and there's this woman with just the biggest smile I have ever seen, and I go up and introduce myself, and yeah, it was cool to meet them, and we'd hang out every once in a while, float like at the Flojo, like, and share hula hoop moves and stuff that, and Skillshare. And I learned that she was going to be moving to California like the night, like real soon. And the night before she was going to be leaving, I'm like, shoot, this girl's leaving tomorrow.
I have to shoot my shot.
I've never actually hung out with her outside of Flojo, and so I give her a call, and it's like, I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, I really wanted to hang out with you.
Yeah.
And so we go to the Circus bar for a bluegrass night in Ann Arbor, and
oh yeah, I love that
and
bar. Yeah.
play pool and whatnot, and just get to know each other. And yeah, it was awesome. It was really cool. And
did she hit that plane to California the next night?
Her and her friend got a late start to leaving, and I called them the next morning, and I made them some veggie sushi to take with them on their
trip.
Their trip, so they have something on the road, and hung out, and we talked a couple times when she was out adventuring, and and shared stories. Yeah.
So she was going out there to move, to live, or just for vacation?
To move and explore, travel. She stayed at a bunch of different places, living out of her vehicle.
Yeah,
staying at a Zen Buddhist retreat center. And
what was she chasing? What was the goal? What was she looking to find? Was it a job? Was she a dream? Tranquility, peace.
I think probably new experience and just traveling, adventure.
Okay.
She had done a bunch of world traveling before, trips to New Zealand, Australia.
Wow.
Spent 3 months in India in the Himalayas by herself, and so at the time that I met her at Flojo, I learned that she was seemed like a bit of a space cadet. She didn't say a whole lot, but she had this glow about her and the bright smile, and so she was seemed a little bit of a space cadet. I learned that she just hadn't really talked to other people who spoke the same language for 3 months.
Yeah.
And so
it was just a transition for her getting back into it.
Transition. But she was really cool. And then she moved back to Ann Arbor in 2012, and she literally ran into a friend that I had just started hanging out with a bit more. Wonderful tall German friend Christoph, who's just a bundle of light and joy, and I started climbing trees with him. He invited me up into the trees to climb with ropes and harnesses and stuff, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So I was hanging out with him more, and she ran into him. They got to hang out, and then we ended up all hanging out together.
Now your community is kind of coming back.
Then we just we really grew and
enjoyed each other's company.
Yeah, and eventually
At what
got
point?
together.
At what point was she always working on acrobatics? Was she always working on some of these similar things that you're into? Because one thing you should be very proud of is that you found your community, and then within that community you found your soulmate.
Yeah.
And you guys share similar interests. And I'm sure you guys have multiple differences too, but it's those similarities that kind of come together that kind of amplify what this great love story that you might have. Maybe I'm wrong, but it feels like that from the outside. When did you realize that you guys were going to start working together, partner on all these things? Because we haven't even had a chance to talk about this yet, but you guys, was she on tour with you with the Carnival of Madness tour?
No, that was we'd been dating for
Just a
little,
year?
a little less than a year when
Okay.
I ended up summer of 2013 ended up
Okay.
going out and traveling the country coast to coast, performing with several rock bands, Shinedown, Papa Roach, Skillet,
This
Humans in this moment, and yeah.
So let's talk about that. I mean, we'll come back to Carla,
Sure.
but just since we're bringing it up, people are going to want to know that we're going to scratch their interest here. You were on tour with these guys,
Yeah.
and you were probably part of their act, right? Mm-hmm. Certain songs might have a certain feel, and you guys would do. What were some of the things that was asked of you guys to do? What were some of the performances?
Yeah. So our typical show day was, we're first off just traveling around, living in a giant tour bus that says Monster Energy, Carnival of Madness, and
Just
it's
this
got
awesome
cool graphic of carnival performers and stuff like that.
How many performers to a bus?
So there was 6 performers.
Okay.
With us, and so we're all living on the bus together along with a couple Monster representatives, and we show up at a place, get ready, got a ton of
Get your makeup
grungy
on.
makeup and stuff to put on in our costumes.
Now you're that character. Yeah.
Then we end up doing a private show for the people that won tickets on the radio, or to be able to meet the band.
Oh, that's awesome.
Personal signatures and stuff. So the kind of VIP
More intimate experiences before
experience.
you went.
We're doing private shows for them. I was doing my precision whip cracking act where one of my friends will hold out flowers and stuff and whip
The flower out
of their hand or their teeth or whatnot. And then we'd also do a bunch of juggling and comedy and magic and stuff like that. And then later on in the day, we'd welcome people in through the gates and tell them about the extraordinary carnival show that awaits them and the music that is just out inside the gates. And so we're the first ones that they see entering the experience.
You set the tone.
Yeah. And
what a wild ride.
I had a persona that I would also take on for portions of the show. I would make balloon animals for people because it's a carnival, and I guess I would end up making balloon animals for people, and I would take on this persona as the balloonatic. And so,
the balloonatic.
Would you like a poodle or a heavy metal poodle? It's the same pink poodle, but I draw a mustache on it and give it a barbed wire tattoo. And
I want the heavy metal poodle for sure. Yeah.
People would request a sword and
or a heavy metal sword.
I would end up having to knight them in the name of the gods of metal and
Now, did anybody how much freedom did you have to add something to that, or did you have somebody saying this is what we would like you to do, this is what we would like you to do?
So they gave us a lot of free reign for some of that. They had specific requests, and they'd certain some time spent stilting or doing other interaction stuff and face painting for people, and then maybe some balloon animals. Then later on, so that's interaction with the crowd while everybody's getting settled for the festival experience, and then we get ready for there's other bands playing, and then the finale act, the headliner was Shinedown, and
Big deal, yeah.
so we were gonna be there, like they're in their shot when they did their first song, and the curtains rise, and there's tons of flame throwers going off, and we can maybe leave some links to like the
I'll throw whatever you
first
think is,
video, but
yeah.
I'm doing a bunch of fire poi and spinning fire staves and stuff like that. Guys eating fire and doing all sorts of cool stuff for their first show, and then we enter the stage for this like kind of creepy little bit, like after the band goes off stage and comes back on for their encore act, and so it's a nice little ambiance thing. And then
so you are very much a part of this entire show. It's not just a segment or a fraction of the.
It was certainly like a full, long, all-day experience.
And how many times a week would you have to perform? How many times a week were they performing?
We were performing like sometimes like 4 to 6 times a week.
Really?
Sometimes it was. Yeah, there's traveling for 6 weeks.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. My question to you is how did they come upon you and your act? I mean, was it you specifically that was found, and then they put you paired you together with other people from across the country, or was it your kind of company of people?
So they, excuse me, they ended up finding a magician friend, and they didn't really know like where to go, but they found my buddy Josh's website, and then he's like, all right, I can help you to find these people. I know
I have a community
I've
of
got
them,
all the connections.
Yeah.
Like, here's the people that you're gonna want, and
you were a part of that.
Yeah.
So, and you at this point you hadn't been really doing this that long, right?
I had been performing like since like probably early 2011.
Okay, so a couple of years then. I mean, you're talking about fire. Would you call it fire poi?
Yeah. So there's a bunch of different types of flow arts or forms of juggling, or like different props and toys and stuff. So the picture had some of my juggling torches.
Yeah.
There, and so there's also poi, which is like these 2 fireballs on the end of chains, and spin them around and do crazy stuff with it.
I've seen you do something similar. I don't know if you remember this or not, but a buddy of mine was putting together a demo reel for his videography, cinematography, and we called you up. And remember, we went to your studio, you and Carla.
Yeah.
And we kind of filmed you doing some different things, and you showed us some of those techniques then. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you've made it on. I mean, at that point, you got to feel successful in what you're doing. You got to feel fulfilled in what you're doing, right?
Yeah, it was definitely a big boost. It was the largest thing that I had ever done, and so it was a great experience.
Was it something that you'd like to get back to, or are you kind of transitioned to something else and you're happy with where you are?
Yeah, I'd love to do some more of my own thing, or like have a specific highlighted show that I would bring to various festivals and or just different events, or have like a shows that I've done shows for schools and stuff like that, and thinking about like some of the like motivational speaking like
aspects, how you can marriage that,
pep rallies for school or whatnot. And so thinking about some of the different types of things that I can do. And it's been really fun experience. And if they called me up again, I would still probably do
It'd be hard to turn it down.
Like I might be able to make some more money doing other gigs and stuff, but like the experience in itself was
for sure.
It's hard to pass up something like that. It was pretty cool.
It's the networking. It's the opportunity that it might provide for something else.
Absolutely, sure.
Yeah. You talked about festivals. I could definitely see you guys on a stage at like Bonnaroo Music Festival. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but that's like a comedy arts and music festival.
Yeah, we've performed at a bunch of them. And,
have you? Okay.
So like Envision Festival in Costa Rica.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Geo Paradise Tribal Gathering, and a bunch of there's a ton of different. I perform at Electric Forest regularly.
Yeah.
And
that seems to be a perfect marriage. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really fun. So at Electric Forest, I ended up doing a lot of like character acting, and so we end up having like a team of like improv actors.
Okay.
That we would get together and do different things like sporty ball, and I was the officialer, and so people are wandering through the forest listening to music and jams, and then you've got these like two wildly colorful team captains roll up. Hey, do you want to play some sporty ball?
I do. Yes, I do.
You got two announcers, like anchors, following them, like just talking about every specific action that's happening, and
just adding to the overall experience.
Yeah, and you have these two referees that will help to organize these games. And
so it's like a spontaneous thing that just takes place, and then all of these people,
so there are a bunch of different crazy experiences. Another year we were aliens on a family vacation. Okay. And so we had a whole family dynamic, mom, dad, little daughter, Zuni, and crazy Uncle Zobo, and
Zuni,
and everything started with
a Z or an X.
Your Zeebles from Zebron 5, and
I like it though. So who comes up with those creative ideas? Like, who is it? Just you and a group of people? Or?
So yeah, we had an idea of like, what if there's aliens on a family vacation, and then like people get excited about an idea, and they have like lay out other ideas and expand upon like what we each might suggest, and then it just creates
this environment, this atmosphere,
like a whole world that we can and atmosphere that we can interact with people and their experience, and hopefully spread some smiles. So
at what point now, going back to Carla, are you very much doing the same thing now, or does she have her world of stuff and you have your world, and you guys just kind of bring it together when you can, or do you guys just kind of like, how much is she a part of what you're doing, and what you're doing be a part of what she's doing?
Yeah, so we're definitely doing a whole lot of
I see the
performance and stuff together, and Carla, she ended up having a yoga studio in downtown Ann Arbor for a while, called Align Divine.
Awesome.
And she would do she's an amazing yoga teacher, and but she ended up closing that business down to focus more on her online business right now, Femme Genius.
Okay.
So she does business coaching, brand coaching for women entrepreneurs, and moving their businesses online, and
kind of that transition from maybe a storefront or just a business altogether to trying to get them in a startup to
freedom-based lifestyle is what Carla was most excited about, is like finding something that she can do anywhere in the world with just knowing her, like
she can be anywhere in the world,
and still as long as she's got like good Wi-Fi connection, she can do her
being
stuff.
Totally off the grid while being on the grid, right?
Yeah,
it's a challenge that we all. That's awesome that you guys have that. I've kind of ventured into the last couple of years looking at turning a school bus converting it into a home.
Oh yeah.
And I thought about taking this podcast on the road because, again, it's incredible that I appreciate that you were willing to travel an hour to come be on my silly little show. But I would like to see where this goes. I'd like to interview, more people in your network, more people in other people's networks, and I think that's hard for them to travel to Adrian, Michigan, to be on my show when I don't offer much of an incentive other than just, hey, you get a chance to meet me, and I hope that's enough,
Well, I remember getting to hang out with you, and I really appreciated the connection there, and so I was really curious, and thank you for having me out.
And like I said, from afar for a long time, but I've thought about doing that type of alternative lifestyle because I'm a minimalist for the most part. I really don't need things. I need experiences.
Yes.
And I think a lot of it is that those communities I'm looking for, sometimes, and maybe I'm a little off here, but like sometimes I want it to feel, I want every experience and every relationship I have to be genuine and authentic and feel real. And sometimes I find that people will claim they want that and it feels forced. And maybe I'm off, so sometimes I've ventured into communities and tried to be like, oh, these might be my community of what I'm looking for. And I might find one or two people that are like that, which is perfect because that's what I need, but then they don't live in the same area or whatever. So it's I'm seeking something for sure. I'm starving for something. I know what it is. I just don't know where to find it. Maybe I need to create it, I guess. I don't know. But so let's talk about, so you've chosen this alternative. What do you do for money? What is your living style like? What have you done? I mean, are you living out of a vehicle? Like you said, Carla thought about doing in California. What is your lifestyle like?
Well, for the past like 5 years or so, we've been pretty much grounded in Ann Arbor. We did a whole bunch of traveling together and teaching and performing like around the world, and built a tree house and with a friend in
Really cool.
In Colombia, and so did a bunch of jungle travels and journeys, and lived out on the West Coast for a bit, but we've been in Ann Arbor.
Oh wow. We're tearing things apart here, ladies and gentlemen.
There we go. We've been in Ann Arbor for a while now, and so we've got I work for like a few different performance agencies, as well as I have my own circus arts business, Masterpiece Circus.
Okay, great.
And you can check that out, masterpiececircus.com.
Yeah, we will. I'll plug all these at the end.
Sweet.
Yep, masterpiececircus.com for sure.
And then I also work for an arborist company called Guardian Tree Experts.
Okay.
And
is that like landscaping type thing or trimming trees?
Yeah, tree surgeon.
Oh, okay, nice. So you're the guy with the chainsaw. You're climbing the trees.
I'm climbing trees, doing pruning, doing removals.
Okay.
Doing like structural.
Are you doing that more as like a free, almost like a freelance worker? From just project to project, or are you there 40 hours a week? What is that?
So I was working full time there for a while, and then kind of cut back my hours to focus on
more of your creative side,
like the performing arts and stuff. And they've been really flexible with me, which is like really awesome to have for like a job experience, and like people that have creative passions and stuff that like, okay, there's things that are more important to me than 40-hour week job.
Yes.
And like, so having an employer that is respects that and wants to see people thrive and be happy is really awesome.
And it allows for you in return to really put, when you are working for them, to really give everything you have for them and go above and beyond. And absolutely. I think if they do right by you, you do right by them. And I think that's great that you have that, man.
Yeah.
So you're currently at your stage in life then where you've got 3 or 4 things going on. You're married now. What is the end goal? What is the dream, or what is the? Tell me, what is it you're still striving for? What is the goal?
That's an excellent question. So.
Not that there has to be one. Maybe the goal is just getting through today and enjoying it as much as I can, and then seeing what tomorrow brings. I mean, I don't know.
So there's definitely like wanting to be present, and like I want to keep having fun. I want to keep also having new experiences. Like if we're always running in the like we all run in circles, and I want to make those circles that I'm running bigger and spiral out and
build your network of
and so a part of that is just doing more location independent things, and Carla's like her business is really taking off, and that's been really exciting. So we'd like to eventually like find ways that we can just follow the sun.
Yeah.
And we'll be going to Tulum for part of this this winter.
Okay.
Well, Carla's leading a retreat out there in Mexico, and
Does COVID damper some of those plans, or do you guys just keep marching through?
Some of that, and I definitely want to be cognizant of that and to
Sure.
practice, and so that I want to. So we just want to be spending more time outside
Yeah.
and having other experiences, and in that way. So COVID, has been certainly an adapting influence and things. So we
have to flow.
the borders are open for to Mexico.
They are. You're right. Yeah.
Right now, so we can still fly out there, and it's not an issue.
Well, I got to tell you, Scott, I hope you guys safe travels when you do go. I appreciate that you came here today. I want to give you kind of a minute to just talk about what you got going on, what you'd like to kind of promote.
Sure.
We'll put all those links up on the site for everybody to get to. Talk about some of the things you've done. Whatever you need to do, take a minute now if you can, and just kind of spread some love of who you are.
So yeah, I encourage people to certainly check out Masterpiece Circus. If you're ever curious about some fun things, we match what people want in an experience. So really versatile in what we can, whether you're wanting aerialists, whether you're wanting magicians, fire dancers, acrobats, the whole list of the gamut.
The whole spectrum, yeah.
So we accommodate a lot of those things, and really want to put another hit out for checking out Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. I've been studying that work for a while, and I can't recommend it enough. I hope we can be more compassionate to ourselves and others in all times.
Seems to be something that's missing right now, and
Yeah.
we desperately need it as a civilization, society. Global at large needs that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, we barely scratched the surface with you. Maybe we can do this again down the road someday. You have a lot of fascinating facets to you. I really, once again, appreciate you being here. I've enjoyed this experience thoroughly. I've learned something. I will take this with me. And I just want to say, all of you, check out everything that he said. We'll post it on the links. And again, episode 17 with Scott Van Sice. We'll see you on down the road. All right.
Peace.
Peace. Good deal.